Kiki. Oh my god, there's a moth. Alexa, I'm sad. Play Despacito.
Despacito, remixed by Luis Fonsi from Spotify.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather recently and one of my eyes is really bloodshot. But today's video, why am I packing up my makeup as I'm doing this? So professional. Today's video is not a glamorous video. It's not like a, oh my god, yay, my life is so good. It's gonna be a story time. Therefore, I don't really think it's necessary to sit with a full face of makeup. Bring YouTube back to its roots. Keep it natural, keep it real, keep it fresh, keep it current, keep it flowing. Literally wasn't gonna film anything today. I was just kind of gonna have a day in bed, but what is the point of that, because I would be bored and unproductive. So I thought I would just tell you about the time I was sexually harassed by my manager, age 16. No, it's not clickbait, sweaty. People like this do actually exist. So anyway, I'm just gonna get straight on into the story. It started with, I was in the hairdressers because, as you can see, I love to take good care of my hair. We all know that's a lie. My mum turned to me and she was like, oh, Floss, I'm gonna change the names of these people because I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but we're gonna call this man Bob. And I love Bob, for reference, I think he's great. So anyway, she was like, oh, Floss, Bob, who is someone who owns a pub, she was like, oh, Floss, Bob is looking for someone to start working at this pub. We'll call this pub number 1. She was like, Floss, someone's looking, Bob, oh my god, I'm really not very good at this. Bob is looking for someone to work at pub number 1. And I wanted to get a job at this point because it was my GCSE summer, I had a heap loads of time and I wanted to make some moolah, you know. I was going to a festival, I was going out eating lunch with my friends every day, like I needed to make some money. So I was like, oh my god, yeah, great. The wage was $5.50 an hour, so like pretty reasonable. So I started the work there, and when you start working in a restaurant, the first thing they will put you on is doing pot wash. So my first shift was just doing pot wash, which is pretty not gonna lie, it's like a very grim, gross, dirty job, but I understand that's where everyone has to start. So I did, and I turned up to my first shift and it was really nice. I was really nervous because it was my first job I'd ever had. Like, I'd never had a job before because I just didn't work. Yeah, I just didn't work. I got a little bit of money from YouTube, but literally probably like 60 quid every 3 months from YouTube. But I didn't live a very lavish lifestyle, so I could kind of just get around on that. So anyway, I started working there and the first shift was okay. It was good. It was stressful. I was nervous, but I expected that because it was my first job. Bob was great. He was really kind of just made me feel really settled. And there was the manager, who was like the head waiter, I'm gonna say. I don't know if he's actually the manager, but we are going to call him... We are going to call him Jamie because I'm looking at a photo of Jamie Goodrick-Clark on my wall. Sorry Jamie, you do not remind me of this man, but for convenience, I'm using your name. He comes in and he gets my name, like, first of all, because I go up to the bar and I'm like, hi, my name is Flossie, I'm here to like work for you basically, where do I need to go? And he was like, oh, I'm Jamie, lovely to meet you, whatever, blah blah blah. And then I just, the thing is, I have to be so careful what I say in this video. This is honestly just the craziest story. I'm remembering even more, like, you are not ready for the things he said. So the next shift rolls around and I go into work. He's there, everything's really good, he's like training me. I enjoyed it. Like, it was hard because it's all new, and obviously when you're working tills and like all this kind of stuff, it's just new things, and especially when you're nervous you kind of just go into overdrive a bit. But he was really good, he was really patient, he was really like reassuring with me. It was really good and they were really nice, like always offering to take me home and like pick me up from my house and drive me to work because I kind of live in a really weird place. So anyway, just time started progressing and it was just like little, as you get to know people you work with, you become more so friends with them. You talk about things with them that you would talk to your friends about, but obviously in a professional manner. You're not there to try and make someone uncomfortable, like that is not to be excused, but you do become friends with them, and I kind of started to feel like I was becoming friends with Jamie. So me and Jamie, we'd like just talk about things like our plans for the summer, like our interests, our clothes. He always told me that he was like really really kind of high up, like used to work in cocktail bars and like stuff like this, and he was like manager of all these big places. And you know, I was like, oh, that's cool, whatever. I'm not really impressed by like people gloating to me, if I'm gonna be honest. When people brag about all the money that they're earning to me, I'm kind of like, that's cool, but I'm not impressed by that. Like, I'm impressed if you're a nice person, or your attitude towards me and what I see you showing other people. I honestly feel like I'm not even speaking English. My mind is just like, I guess we became like friends, but then also he was my manager at the same time, so it was nice. I was enjoying it. Like, the conversations were innocent, like light-hearted, just friendly, general getting to know each other, obviously with no other intentions. So I thought. He always used to tell me about like the places that he went all the time, and I do remember thinking, I was just like, he's going all these places alone, and I was like, well, you know, I guess some people would do that. I like going places alone. Like, sometimes I just like going shopping by myself because I enjoy my own company. And he always used to emphasize how single he was and how he didn't have a girlfriend, and like he broke up with his girlfriend so long ago and then like just came off, moved away and changed his whole life, and like he's so happy now and everything. And I was like, okay, cool for you, like whatever. And then he'd like ask me about me, like if I had a boyfriend, and I was like, I was with someone for like around 2 years, but it's just finished. And then I remember after my prom, so I had a shift about a week after, and he was looking at my prom dress photos and he's like, you look beautiful, you look really lovely, which I have no problem with that. Like, a man is allowed to call someone beautiful. That's okay, that's a compliment. I can't remember how, but he started talking about my ex-boyfriend and he asked for his name, and then he searched him up on Facebook. This is not me being nasty, this is not my opinion, but he was scrolling through his photos and stuff. He was asking me questions about the relationship, what he was like to me, and he was like, you can do so much better than that, you know, you can do so much better than that, like blah 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 blah, whatever. Look at you, like got so much going for you, whatever. Being friendly, I guess. And at this point I still wasn't uncomfortable. I didn't like feel uncomfortable, and I think that too just puts emphasis on how this stuff really does happen. Like, a man is allowed to call a woman pretty or beautiful in the right context, like in a workplace, but there is definitely a difference between complimenting someone and being an absolute piece of shit. So he's going on and on about how I can do so much better, and then he's also saying, you're so young to be in a relationship like that, you're 16, you need to go out, you need to live your life. And that was literally the mindset that I was in at that point. I was agreeing, I was like, yeah, I know, I'm just like really excited for this summer, you know, I'm not gonna have like someone hold me back the whole time, like I can just go and do whatever I want. And I was just excited to be happy because I'd had a really unhappy 2 years, and I was excited to kind of be able to break away from the unhappiness. I remember he just kept saying, just have fun, just have fun. And at the time I thought he meant have fun, but looking back I see it differently. I remember one time he said, he's like, oh, I had this crazy night out, and you haven't had a good night out till you wake up in someone's bed who you don't know whose it is. And I was like, I just remember being like, oh, and he was like, have you ever had a one-night stand? And I was like, no, because I'm 16. I was like, oh no, I'm not really into that. And he was like, oh no, it's the best way to be, it's the best way to live, no attachments, no feelings. And he was like, just good sex. And I was like, oh. And bearing in mind, this guy, I don't know how old he was, but he was like maybe like 26 or something. And then I remember I said to him, oh well, I'm 16. And he's like, oh yes, of course, I just forget you're so young, because you're like, you're not 16 though, are you? Like, you don't act like you're 16. And I was like, well, I don't act like I'm 16, but I biologically am. Oh my god, I literally, it's getting me stressy talking about it, because I just remember like the discomfort that I used to feel. He told me about this holiday that he was going on, and he was like, just lots of alcohol, the beach, and lots of women. And he was just like really obsessed with women and kind of sexualizing women. And a lot of the conversations that we had, like, to be explicit, were about sex, like his sex life and like what he liked and what he liked in a woman and stuff like that. And obviously I never shared anything back. I didn't want to. Like, that was none of his business, and his personal life in that aspect was none of my business. I didn't want to hear about it. I never initiated those conversations. I never wanted to speak to him about that. And I do think it was very, very, very unprofessional of him to inflict those conversations upon a 16-year-old girl, and also be very suggestive that he did want sexual relations towards me. Like, I just never forget the time he was like, so like friends with benefits, like would you be into that? Would you do that? You should do it. You should be like friends with benefits. And the tone that he'd say it in was saying like he wanted friends with benefits with me. And while whilst he never explicitly said it, I'm allowed to have my own opinion on the situation. So just the whole time he was so inappropriate, and just kind of things like when I was cleaning windows and I'd turn around, I could just like feel his eyes on me. Obviously, you know, I'd be like bending over and stuff like that, just kind of things I don't really want someone to look at me for. He made his life seem very lonely, like he was very, not lonely, but very independent, like it was just him going around doing his thing, and that's something really important that you need to remember. Another time I remember, it was a really dead day and I went up to him and I was like, is there anything else you need me to do? And he was like, like what? And I was like, oh, I'll do anything. And he was like, he literally said to me, and I can 100% tell you that, like he said this because I remember it so clearly, he was like, never tell a man you'll do anything, especially not me. And I was like, ugh. It was just so slimy, like he was just a slimy little rat. And I obviously was just like, that was the day that I reached my wit's end with it. I'm generalising all of this and it sounds like nothing. When it's every single shift that someone's being really personal with you and asking really personal questions and insinuating that they want stuff with you, I didn't feel safe being left alone with him. He drove me home, I think, once, and I didn't feel safe being in a car with him afterwards. He played like the song, you know, what's like, let's talk about sex, baby, whilst driving me home, and I just remember thinking, really? Bob's wife, we're gonna call her Angel because she is an angel and I just adore her. Bob's wife Angel, she was a boss of another pub. I basically got in the car after the shift where he was like, oh, don't tell a man you'll do anything, especially not me. And I just got into the car to my mum and I just started crying. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable there. I literally don't feel safe. I've never been in a position where I felt someone would actually try to touch me. And I thought if ever I'm at work do with him or something and he's had a few drinks, I do not trust this man with anything, like anything. I did not trust him. So anyway, I was in floods of tears and I had to go back in for a shift that evening, but I was honestly just sat in my bed. I was like, I don't want to go in, I don't want to go in, I don't feel safe. And I can't emphasize it to you enough how uncomfortable I did feel the whole time. As I said before, I'm generalizing everything and I'm not going to remember every single thing he said to me because there were honestly just a disgusting amount of things that he said. So my mum, of course, being the amazing woman that she is, and being any woman or any man who should take this situation as seriously as it was, she said, you owe absolutely nothing to them to go in. If someone is working there and making you feel like that and telling you those things, then don't go in. So my mum contacted Angel and she actually like went and saw her like face to face in person, and she was like, hi Angel, Flossie's not going to be going into work tonight because, and Angel literally said, she was like, let me guess, Jamie. Angel was like, I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen. I know what he's like. She'd overheard Jamie talking about what sort of underwear he thought I'd wear, about the fact he thought I'd shop at Victoria's Secret, my underwear, stuff like that, my boobs. At the time when my mum came home and she told me all of that, I honestly felt sick. Like, I felt sick hearing the things that he'd been saying. Something that Angel also told my mother. This is the best bit of the whole story. He lived in his girlfriend's parents' house. Girlfriend's parents' house. He had a girlfriend and he was living in her parents' house with her and her parents. Excuse me. I was so shocked at the fact the whole time I'd been working there, which was about, I want to say like 3 months maybe, he was emphasising how single he was, how good it was to be single, how great friends with benefits are, whilst he was living in his girlfriend's parents' house, in case I haven't said that enough times. It took everything in me to not message his girlfriend on Facebook and just tell her everything he'd done and leave him with no home, because that's the truth tea. sister. When men or women do this and like sexually harass other people, they do it in a really clever way that makes you think that you're overthinking everything and you're overanalyzing everything. And I was really paranoid that I was just really like, I was misreading things, and I wasn't. It's really sad that at 16 I felt like I couldn't tell people about a much older man, like by 10 years, proposing and asking for friends with benefits when it's in a work environment, and I kept saying no, and despite him clearly seeing it made me uncomfortable. And the fact that I would never openly initiate those conversations, like to make me feel like I couldn't talk about that and I couldn't tell people, it's just so wrong. I said to my mum, of course Flossie doesn't have to go back into work. I'm going to call Bob immediately, tell him everything that had happened. Angel was like, right, Flossie's leaving her job there, she does not have to go in, she does not have to speak to him again, whatever, blah blah blah, I'll get all her money, all her tips for her, and she's gonna start working here. He was like, it was not like that at all, I apologised so much that I made her feel uncomfortable, which just like BS, like you knew you were making me uncomfortable, literally, you could tell in my body language so clearly, like the fact I wouldn't even look at him in the face when I was talking to him, because he made me want to physically be sick on the floor. So yeah, he got like a written and a verbal warning. I don't really know what that does. Also, I just want to say he was crap at his job. He literally just leant over the counter and played games on his phone the whole time and got me to do everything. So I left. I said good riddance. I never saw him again. He came into my work from time to time and I just hid in the kitchen. I do hope you did enjoy it. If you would like to see more of me, I kind of do a mishmash of everything on this channel. We have a lot of fun and everyone is very lovely, so it would be lovely if you would like to join the family and click the subscribe button and the bell so you get the notification in the box when the sexy lady video appears. But yeah, I love you all so much, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye!